why people are afraid to contact an agent. I know why, but we'll get into that.
Well, and a little fun fact is that realtors are in the top 5 least trusted industry in the country.
They will nag and nag and nag and nag.
Always smarter to contact a realtor before a lender.
This episode powered by Wawa Coffee.
Wawa Coffee. If you are listening to this and you don't know what Wawa is,
sorry.
You're totally missing out.
God, the best. I don't want to hear anybody from other side of Pennsylvania saying anything about how Sheetz is better than Wawa.
No.
I'll die on this hill. They do have fried mac and cheese bites. Fine, I'll give you that one. But like Wawa's got it.
You know how I know that Wawa's good is because I've talked to people from Long Island who are absolutely in love with Wawa, and outside of Long Island, Long Islanders don't get in love with anything else.
Find a cultier convenience store. Find anybody else who like moves away from this area. Well, I guess Wawa's kind of like infiltrated down the East Coast now, but find anybody who is like grew up or lived around a Wawa, leaves, and see the joy and excitement in their face when their first stop back is Wawa.
Wawa. That's right.
Not sponsored by Wawa.
Not sponsored by Wawa.
Wawa dark roast coffee and seasonal holiday blend. Merry Christmas.
So, yeah, it's November what? It's November 2nd, and they
by the time
have the
this
holiday
is being
stuff.
launched, it's going to be around Christmas.
Yeah, that's true. So, okay, what are we talking about today, Jen?
So, you brought this topic to me, and you're going to tell me why, but we're going to talk about, you said you wanted to go over why people are afraid to contact an agent.
Yes. I run into this all the time, guys, where it's like, it's not time, we're not ready. I know people are making things up, and that's okay.
They'll always make things up, but I'll tell you, I know why, but we'll get into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I wanted to kind of dispel the myths surrounding what happens when you talk to a realtor, and we're going to cover 3 like pretty big topics. I think there's a lot of reasons why people won't contact a realtor or a lender. I would argue it's almost always smarter to contact a realtor before a lender, just because the realtor can kind of tee everything up and get everything in motion. But I'm getting we're in that season. It's towards the end of the year. Everyone who wants to sell next year, they're like, nah, we're not ready. We're not ready. We're not ready. In this episode, we're going to talk about why it's not a good idea to wait.
Yeah. And I mean, I pushed back on you about doing this. Well, not doing the episode, but about, framing it in the way that you had.
Yeah, there were some gen sets.
Well, when isn't there?
When is the gen set?
No, you said that people are afraid to contact an agent. Yep. And I said, I'd beg to differ. We started getting into this before we started recording, but okay. That's what I said. Pause. This is good.
Let's do it. Let's have a cage match.
Ding, 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 ding. Round one. No, I don't necessarily think that people are afraid to contact us. We're not big scary giants. As much as it is uncertain as to when or like what to contact us about, or that I think that they're unsure of when to contact us, not necessarily be afraid to.
Confusion is totally a thing. I will give you that. Because
like on top of it, it's like they think, oh, well, I only contact a realtor when I am ready to literally go step foot into like a house. Like I saw a house and so I want to go see it.
Yeah.
Like right now. And that's when I contact a realtor. And I think it's more like they have an idea that, oh, that's when I'm supposed to contact them. So it's more of a like sureness.
Okay. So I will give you this. Inaction, which is what we're talking about, right? Someone not doing something. Confusion. They don't know when. They're afraid to, meaning they're afraid about the answer they might get, or overconfidence, thinking they know already. So can we admit to that? All right.
Good game.
Good handshake.
Thank you. My father taught me.
So which one would you like to start with?
Okay. Like which reason why somebody may not?
Out of those 3. Let's just break it down that way. We'll do it that way.
They don't want to be sold to.
They don't want to be sold to.
Or they'll be afraid that they're going to get sold to.
Okay, so let's talk about fear.
Pushy people.
Reason people are afraid to contact a realtor. I would say there's a few. One is, they don't want to be sold to. Okay, they don't want to put themselves in a position where they get told something that will get them to do something that is against their best interest.
Because
And-
okay, you can't lie too. There's some realtors out there who are like
Totally.
the used car salesman of, or like the I'm reaching out to you about your car's extended warranty.
Yeah.
Of like they will nag and nag and nag and nag.
Or they'll call and say, I have buyers. Can I come by at, between, 3 and 4 on Thursday afternoon? No, there are, this is sales, real estate, insurance, mortgage. Everyone has a different style. And rightfully so. Some people should not, be fearful of being sold to. That's not our style.
No.
Our whole team is not that way.
And there's a lot of agents out there that it's not that way.
It's not that way.
It's the light that has been painted for us.
Sure. Well, and a little fun fact is that realtors are in the top 5 least trusted industry in the country. Like
that'll be another episode.
That'll be another episode. But like used car salesmen, we're like neck and neck with them, and I know why. That'll be another episode. But we take a very holistic approach to all this. And good realtors do, successful realtors do that, but certainly they don't want to be sold to. Okay. The other reason that they are afraid, and it goes back to just kind of people and their finances. They don't want to be told that they're either irresponsible with their money, that they're behind on where they should be, or they really don't want to be told no. They don't want to be told that like they haven't done what's needed to do. They haven't done what's needed in order to buy a house tomorrow. And it's very natural. There was a poll done where they asked couples what they like talking about the least, and finances was number 1. People don't like talking about finances, so I think by extension, they don't like going to quote unquote stranger or a realtor that they don't know, or a realtor that they kind of know, or a high school friend. Like there's people that don't want to, like I said.
I'll have a story about that.
Yeah,
too. I have a prime example of that.
Jen has a very good story. I didn't know until we started preparing for this episode. I did not know that this was the case, but it's perfect. So I think that is a huge hurdle, is that people just are like, they don't want to talk about their money and they don't want to be told no. And so the next one, which would you like to talk about, is overconfidence, because there's a lot of people out there. That's the big brush off I get a lot of times this time of year, which is, hey, we got it. We're ready. We'll call you in January or February.
That kind of ties into finances too, though.
No, it's no with sellers, with logistics.
Like from a timing standpoint?
From a timing standpoint, they're like, oh, this isn't the time. We're going to sell in the spring, so we'll call like January, February.
So really it's the like people waiting for like the right time, and that they already kind of think they know, that's the time that we're going to do it.
They think they know because they've had a friend or a family member that was the timing, but it almost never hurts to have someone come out and have that conversation earlier. Even if you don't sign a listing contract and like you don't really get things moving until after the new year, but like in November, December, like the smart people,
I have a story for that too.
Yeah, the smart people get out ahead of it. There's like I can't think of a downside. So overconfidence, and also you're right, overconfidence in finances, like, we're fine. With interest rates where they are and certain things, with your income, especially. Here's another one that I run into a ton is business owners. They think because they're a business owner that they are able to borrow, and they can be a nightmare. And if you're not, I've had people call and say, yep, we're ready to buy. And, I'm like selling widgets, or I'm, whittling, woodwork or whatever. And I'm like, well, how long ago have you done that? And they're like, oh, I started my business 8 months ago. It's like, you're not getting a loan because lenders need 2 years of tax returns.
Yeah. Like when I got my I had no intentions of like moving or anything like that. But had I wanted to, I wouldn't have been able to start buying a house like until right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm only just about to get my second full year's worth of.
And that's right. So you need 2 years of tax returns with a 1099. And like I tell everybody who gets their real estate license, like, you want to buy a house in the next 2 years.
No, you're not.
You're not. And honestly, like, if you don't have the income, and so small business owners are that way. So like landscapers and electricians and contractors and those types of people who have their own businesses, that can be a big problem for the overconfidence bucket.
Yeah. So what you're gonna get from this is why you should contact an agent, and really like kind of when you should. So
the last of the three is confusion. People don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I think that there's a huge amount of misinformation out there, and it's not someone trying, it's not anyone's fault necessarily. It's just that there's such an abundance of information out there. Some people think it's right time to do this, some time to do that. And I think that being able to go to the source, the realtor, the lender, the people who do this all day, every day, like I always tell my clients, I'm like, you're not supposed to know all this stuff. Like, you're not supposed to know how to do all this stuff.
And if you're not sure if it falls in our wheelhouse, you just ask anyway.
That's right.
Because chances are it does that to some degree. And if we're not the expert in it, we know the ones that are.
Yes. And so, the thing I love about this business is kind of guiding people. And by extension, the whole team has this philosophy. If they don't, then they're not on my team. I love taking people a year or 2 years ahead and working with them, checking in with them every few months, seeing how they go.
Who wants to rush? Like, rushing is the worst.
Yeah. And I would say
we do it, and we work with a sense of urgency, but if you have the proper time to actually like plan things out, and I mean, we'll get into this when we get to financing too, as far as like, you might think where you're at one point, but then you might actually, then when you see it on paper, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And in this market, with inventories levels where they are and interest rates levels where they are, I mean, it's kind of good. This episode, Jen, kind of goes back to the core of why we're doing this whole podcast to begin with.
Everything really well. Oh, what really goes in that is motive. So as far as like, so to go to our first point, I dive more into being sold to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that like the concept of being sold to has everything to do with the motive of the person that you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was telling you this yesterday, when I was in my good old retail days.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a good episode without a good old
There's
story.
always going to be some good old retail days stories. I got too many of them to just try to keep locked up.
I've got construction stories, but nobody wants to hear about this.
No, I mean, like, okay, there is no denying every single person who's watching this, listening to this, or that I will ever interact with has gone into a store and has felt sold to. I know probably like 90% of people are going to walk into a store, and as soon as they're talked to, they'll be like, no, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm just looking. I did trainings on this. I know exactly. Everybody feels like they're going to get sold to.
Okay.
And here's how you are. There's not a lot of great people out there in retail these days. They want to push, and they're really pushy. And anybody in sales, that's just the automatic kind of defense that goes up of like, I don't want to be sold.
Yeah, and that's common across all retail.
Yeah, but like, not to brag, I was pretty good at my job, but, was like, did I have segments to make? Yes. Did we have a certain amount that we needed to get in? Yes. Did we have goals? Yes. Did I hit them? Generally speaking, yes. But it's not necessarily because I was like, I want to get this much money out of you. And like, that was the end result. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, it did end up like producing nice results on that end. But my motive going into it was like, listen, I don't make any extra money off of you by having you buy these pairs of jeans. Mm-hmm. Like, I really don't. I'm not getting a commission on this. Nothing. My day will not change financially if you do or don't get this, but I want to make sure that you feel better. And like, this is going to help you out in the long run, like in your day-to-day life. I just want here to make your life simpler and happier. You want to work with people who have a better motive, and you're not going to feel sold to because it's, will we sell you a house? Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because you need somewhere to live, but we're doing it because you want to work with somebody who's doing it because they want the best for you, not for their wallet. I can chase $1 anywhere, but that's not why we do this. It's to like advocate for other people and actually get them into places safely. And, that will produce good results in the end. And like, that's cool. But, being sold to comes down to the motive behind it.
Yes. And I would say most agents are either A, they don't have the sales skills to try to sell, but also most agents are trying to do what's right for the customer or the consumer, in my experience. And it's like anything else, man. Like the bad eggs are the ones who get all the press. That's the shit you hear about. That's the stuff that you hear the horror stories about. But most people are trying to do the best they can.
And I also too, just to make note, that's kind of like a side topic though, but it just reminded me too though.
Jen tangent.
Shocker. No, I was in my continued education class like a year and a half ago, and we all went around the room. There was a lot of us. It was probably like 35, 40 of us, I guess, in that class. And we all went around. The instructor asked us all like why we got into real estate. And there's like some cringy agents in there, like people who would like kind of speak up where I'm like, no, that's not would be what I would do. But then when teacher asked us all to go around and say why we got into real estate, the ones who had said, oh, I do it for the money, were the ones that I had initially had been like, I don't know, something cringy about you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bet you, I'm sure they're not like the brightest bulbs out there in the industry, but you know.
No, and honestly, the people who are that way, that they're not the top producers. There's just something like about a human connection. You do that enough, and you do right by people enough that's the marketplace benefits those types of people. So, my advice would be, don't call some guy, off of Google or Zillow, or some guy who cold calls you. Like, look for a referral. Ask for somebody who, somebody else has had success with.
And if you do feel sold to while you're talking to somebody, then
interview with someone else, because
or ask them why do you do this? Like, some people sometimes like passion gets confused with being pushy.
Mm-hmm.
But, until you kind of get to the bottom of like, well, why do you do this? I think that's going to be, and we'll get into that in another episode. I think it's going to be 2 episodes after this. But
yeah, we got another one coming up.
But, like, don't confuse like passion with pushy.
Yeah. And I would say that if you, I think it's a good point that Jen just brought up, that if you feel like someone's being pushy or doing something that's not in your best interest, then you just back away from that person and you find somebody who you just feel, and like people are savvy enough to understand that like when they make a connection with somebody and they know that someone's intention is good, like that's the person you should gravitate towards. Because like we're just talking about contacting a realtor. Imagine when like you're in inspection and a realtor says like, hey, there's something wrong, or hey, don't worry about that. Like you need to have that bed of trust in order to move forward. Otherwise, it's just going to make things more dramatic.
Yeah. We don't like dramatic.
No drama.
No. So, I guess we can now go into your second point. That is the finances, being embarrassed.
Yeah. Listen, finances, like I said, and I don't want to belabor this point because I kind of already covered it, which is like, it's okay. And like, I don't ever remember like someone on this team onboarding a client and then like being like, hey, can you believe like this guy is like 35 or, and he's got no money and like, blah, blah, blah. It's just,
if anything, we do the polar opposite, which I always say, I used to do this, and tell it too. It's like good gossiping, where it's like, oh my God, can you believe they're only this old and they're able to qualify? This is amazing. They're doing so great in their life. Like I have so much more than you would ever think.
Yeah, like we focus on the good. Like I have a buyer who's 28 years old and they already have $300,000 in their IRA, and it's like that. I focus on that type of stuff. I don't really. I don't enjoy.
Or we brag about like the progress. Like there's confidentiality. Like we don't disclose any like any like personal information or anything like that.
Sure.
But like we'll be like just within our small knit team, be like, just the progress person's making, like their like efforts towards this is so admirable. Like good gossip about a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like I have a friend of mine who she on me and she said that like she was really just over being where she lives. She wants to get out, and one of her like really best friends from growing up, in a like really tight knit group of friends, is a realtor, and she intentionally it was assumed that she would probably go with her, but she didn't want to because she was embarrassed for her to see their finances.
If there are any realtors listening, that's also a very big mistake, assuming that someone's going to go with you. Just a sidebar.
Yeah, every single realtor has a story of somebody that they thought would go with them and didn't.
Hey, this year my sister didn't use me.
I've got some stories. I'll save them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she ended up coming to me and she said like, but I know you're not going to judge me for anything. Like her and I very obviously like I have a very transparent relationship with most people.
Yeah.
Not one to hide much, but I was like, dude, I'm not gonna. I don't care. I don't care in like in a negative way. I'm not gonna judge you in any way whatsoever. You're just like help you get better. And so, like I said, like he said, realtors, if you judging, go get it.
Well, no. So was basically the idea that she was just too embarrassed to show her friend what her finances were?
Yeah.
In like a bad way, like she didn't have good finances, or she might have been behind that person, or
whatever it was.
Yeah.
I don't usually like to pry too much as far as like why they are, but I appreciate if somebody's coming to me saying I trust you.
Yeah.
I say, I can take that.
Yeah.
You can tell me as much as you want to tell me.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is that I would add to this point is that no matter where you are, we've seen worse. I mean,
that's a great point.
Good God.
Dude, it's like going to the doctor. Or it's like, you know what? Perfect analogy of somebody not coming to a realtor because they're embarrassed by their finances or kind of like worried what somebody might think. That's like being sick and being too embarrassed to go to a doctor.
Yep.
And like to try to get it better.
Yeah.
And also, a doctor's always seen worse.
Yes, absolutely.
Just like us. I'm sure we've seen worse.
Oh my God. I mean, and I won't even give like specifics just because I don't want to alienate anyone here, but like I can 95%. I mean, my worst case scenario, 99% of people are above that. I mean, and here's the thing too, is that we are able to kind of fix you too if you'll just
let us.
We have the roadmap. We have the ability to come hither.
We'll help you.
Take our hand and come hither. No, because it's super important to understand. It's like we have all the tools to get you to where you need to be, but you got to take that first step and reach out.
Yeah.
I think that's the moral of the story here.
Yeah. And then there's the overconfidence of like, it's like the polar opposite.
Yeah.
Of like, so there's people who like, they have an idea of where their finances are and they're just kind of like embarrassed to kind of like bring that up or it's avoidance also, like I've been guilty of this in my own life is like, yeah, but if I don't look at it, it doesn't exist. Yeah. I don't want to be told on to myself.
The overconfidence is really kind of two buckets. One is the financial and the other one is kind of logistical. You mean like, no, it's just not time yet. And that rolls into not only the timing to sell or to buy your house, but also like life events. It's like, oh, we can't start looking for a house until we get married. Because they adopt this like sequencing.
This is what you're supposed to do.
This is what you're supposed to do. It's like you court, get engaged, marriage.
But I don't know if you've noticed what year it is and that things have kind of like changed a little bit. Yeah. You need a prime example of who does things out of order. Yeah. Hi. I'm an only parent of a 5-year-old and bought my house first. And
I took a much more traditional route. I got married.
I took tradition and just threw it out the window and said, right. YOLO, let's do it.
Well, listen, there is no right or wrong way to do it. And I see a lot of like engaged couples buying houses.
Listen, people can do it. I've helped people do it, but I've also seen the stress that comes along with it. When you are planning a wedding or when your fiance is planning your wedding.
Sorry, guys.
I'm sorry. I was at a wedding like 2 weeks ago and I love him to death, but the groom was like, I was told to show up today, essentially. Yeah. But anyway, like, I've seen people like, they want to like wait till they're married and get their house, or they're like getting their house while they're engaged, but it's getting while they're simultaneously planning the wedding. And it's like, wedding planning is a lot. I mean, not that I've done it myself, but I've observed it. And it's like, why not like as soon as you like get engaged, like start that first. But again, this is going to be another episode down the road. But, just to say, like, if you even have the idea of, will we someday live together? Yeah. That's probably a good time to start contacting an agent.
Well, it is. And what I've seen people do is that they spend their money buying a house and then they allow the wedding money to replenish the coffers. So I literally, Tina on our team and we settled with a couple and they literally drove from that settlement to their wedding space and they got married later that day.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Huh.
So now, he's a doctor and he had like, after that, he was like, indisposed for, I think like 4 months. He was in all kinds of classes and residency and that type of stuff. So they had to kind of get everything done. But overconfidence about how this is all supposed to work can be kind of an issue. And like, let's talk about the financial piece, because nothing is worse than getting the call, hey, we're ready. And then I got to say,
no, you're not.
No, you're not. And
well, that's like somebody else on our team had an example of a client that she had where he was like, I'm ready to buy. I'm ready to go do this. Let's do it. And then, put them in touch with the lender, ran stuff, found out like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
So like, that's not, you can look up your like it could be credit or it could be finances. Like you might think that you're financially fine. But then, you look at your credit card statement that has your like FICO score on it and like, oh, but I have this. I always say knock off at least like 20 points for your actual credit score. It's never, there's 3 of them to get involved. It's the whole thing.
There's always like a little surprise on that.
Yeah, so I would say take what you think it is and take off 20 points. But
I will also say that there is, in this overconfidence thing, is people comparing themselves to their friends and family, saying, okay, I know I make just about what that person makes. They did it. I can too. And then there's some other shoe drop. Can be credit. Can be the fact that interest rates are higher now than when that person bought it. And people just don't like kind of put all this
together. Could be that they were just like on Zillow or Realtor.com and just saw the like, oh, but it says that I can afford this mortgage payment, but it's really just like skewing a million different things.
Yeah, it doesn't add in all the other stuff.
Get you to hit a button to contact an agent. But yeah, no. So like by the time he realized that, he was emotionally and like in a logistical sense in his life ready to move, found that he wasn't. Had it, but like there was a timeline of like, but here's when you will be. But it just added, I think, maybe like 3 or 6 months onto it versus if he had contacted 3 or 6 months prior to when he thought he was ready, then he would have been ready by the time he thought he was ready.
That's right. And like, let's forget about weddings because those are elective things. But you got a baby on the way? That throws everything into chaos.
That stick changes colors, and you pick up that phone and go ring-a-ling.
No, but I mean, but like, so an agent and I on the team had a couple who they thought they were ready to buy, and they wanted to be in a new house before the baby came.
Yeah,
and they ended up having to bring the baby home to the old house because they weren't quite ready. And again, every single one of these things that we're talking about can be prevented by just being proactive. And like, I have no issue, and I know everyone on the team and great realtors have no issue having that like preliminary call that's like, hey, we're looking to do something in like 2025.
And people think that they're wasting our time too. I mean,
that's a huge one. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, no, because we didn't talk about that actually when we were planning this. Is like, because I hear it all the time, like, oh, I don't want to waste your time. Like, I mean, listen, yeah, you're right. We don't get paid until we're at a settlement table. But like, I mean, like I said, this kind of goes back to motive. Our motive is not to get immediately paid. If we wanted to get immediately paid, trust me, we would not be realtors.
Jen would be at retail.
Oh, God.
Would you ever come out of retirement?
No.
Ever?
I'm sorry. It gave me some good years in my life. It gave me a lot of great relationships. It teed me up for this, to be great at this, but that is something, that is a totally
different animal.
No, I love what I do right now.
Great.
But, horror flashback. But no, so like people think they're going to waste our time. There is no time wasted if you are moving forward.
I would say that, let's coin this phrase. There's no time wasted in preparation.
None.
Preparation is like, until someone told me it was uncool to have a quote in my signature, but like I believe it so like deeply, is the Pasteur quote where it says, fortune favors the prepared mind. And like it really.
Meanwhile, the quote in my signature line is "No problems, just solutions."
Yeah.
Januski.
Yeah, no, but it really. I mean, you could repurpose that for real estate, which is just like fortune favors the client. Whether you're looking to sell or you're looking to buy, and like we focused a lot on buyers here. But let me tell you something: when you got to buy, but you also have to sell.
Oh yeah.
There's like a whole thing like where you got kids and dogs and getting the house ready, and we need a handyman, and we need.
You don't realize how much junk you have in your house until you need to get rid of it.
Are we backing a dumpster up to the house, or are we
getting a storage
stashing it in your parents' basement, like that type of stuff? Yeah, or you're getting a storage unit. Like, there is almost never. I don't actually know. I'm going to just say not almost never have been a time where a client has said, "I really regret reaching out as early as I did." Sitting at the settlement table, being like, "I was just too prepared for this." It just doesn't happen, So I wanted to talk about this.
I was too prepared.
Yeah, I was just too prepared. And I hope that we were able to kind of dispel some of the, some of the thought processes that's going through. And again, our team and great agents all over the country are not looking to, pounce on you. If you call them, a lot of them take a very holistic guidance type approach to this process. And like Jen said, like if we were looking to get paid right away, we would ask for money up front or anything like that. At this point, we're not doing that. We want to work with you all the way through the process, and good agents across the country will do the same thing. So,
and then there's going to be, this is probably going to be released sometime around like December, so around the holidays, like there's going to be all sorts of things you're going to be hearing around the holidays from like family, the more you're talking to people about kind of like.
We're going to talk about that in the next one.
Yeah, so that's going to be the next episode too. So right. Like, I mean, right today we're talking about like, why people might be afraid to contact an agent. The next episode is going to be about, how to even bring the things that you're going to hear like around the holidays and things you're going to hear around the table, and, what to be able to say back to those things.
Yep.
Because you followed your favorite two realtors, friendly advice. But yeah, so we're going to be kind of like diving more into what to say to the things that you're going to end up hearing. It's not just going to be the things that we talked about today. It's going to be, kind of just when to listen and when not to listen.
Yeah. Open up yours and then close them.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Respectfully.
So, okay. So we'll talk about that next episode.
Yeah. So other thing, if you leave this, what I really want to know is kind of like, what has held you back, I guess, is something I'm really interested to know from people. Is like, what kind of things did you think that you wanted to reach out about, but like think, that's not something that they would do or worry about, or maybe now is not the time.
No, but I think that they're a good ask here is just to see out there if this resonated with anybody, and anybody hasn't kind of reached out because of one of the three things, which is overconfidence, confusion, or like, kind of that fear, that embarrassment, So I think that, we want to hear from you. We're always looking for feedback. And of course, if you have any topics you want us to cover, you can find us on Instagram at MillenniUP Podcast or at Ask Seth Anything or
Janoski Gets It Done.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.